Welcome to Statesmen, the podcast where we explore all 50 states with our 5 senses. If you've come here for history, we'll give you some. But most of this is half-baked opinion that is never intended to harm or offend anyone. Today, we explore the youngest sibling in the contiguous 48. But it should be known that this little young one has a very old soul. Having received the breath of statehood on Valentine's Day, 1912, the aptly nicknamed Valentine State is home to as much love and fuck as it is heartbreak and loss. Picture a land rich in arid, accustomed flora and fauna, tamely employed by prehistoric Native American culture and peoples, until an onslaught of European imperialists brought havoc onto the earth, settling fortified towns up and down the Sonoran Desert, with American colonists setting off west not even 200 years later to further plunder the land for its worth below. Now, we talked loss and heartbreak, so now we can go on to love and fuck, because during the late 19th century, people who were able to benefit from modern medicine and technology became elderly, more fragile, and thought of as increasingly ineffective and sterile to an increasingly ineffective and worth-based capitalist system. With the help of the advent of the electrical air conditioning unit in 1902, it was in the 1960s when onslaughts of American elderly flocked to this 113,990 square mile swath where the construction of age-restricted oases catered to the wants and needs of senior citizens were being finalized. It was in the 1960s where people wrinkled by the waters of time could choose to stay young, where one could relax and play cards, or find new love, fuck guiltlessly, and swim. Today, 17% of the Copper's state population is in its twilight. A gentle red sun sets over the desert swell hung in blue shadow, and we all come to rest. Today, we welcome you to Arizona.
Yeah! Here come them Statesmen boys again.
I'm your older statesman, Tim Ferrari, along with my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi.
Going straight into retirement.
And Stuart Highcar.
Already over the hill.
I know, right? Welcome to Statesmen, everybody. Anthony, Stuart, how are y'all doing?
Doing great. I'm just confused because somehow you found a way to make your introduction to Arizona sexual.
Yeah, I wasn't
while also
quite...
talking about old people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, old people also, they don't lose their human desires when you, grow to a certain age.
That's true, Anthony.
Yeah. Okay.
Arizona is full of retirement homes. I mean, it was in the Wikipedia page, pretty prominently. It was a place, retirement homes of Arizona.
Yeah, and I don't mean to flex on you, Anthony, but don't you remember those great news stories about, STI infections, outbreaks in, retirement homes because, old people realize that, oh, what's it matter if we all have herpes if we're all 85? It's not that big a deal.
Yes, I remember these stories. But my grandma used to live in Arizona, so this is all very tough for me to hear. I mean,
my parents currently live in Arizona. And I'm juggling balls right now,
Well, anyway, I do want to just take a quick moment to talk about what just happened this past weekend.
Sure, we just recorded our first live show. That was crazy. Yeah. What? Go ahead, Anthony.
Insane.
It was
ridiculous
insane.
Time.
For
Caleb,
for anyone who came out, God bless you for spending money on us and seeing us really act like full-blown idiots on stage for about 70 minutes. It was an absolute joy, and I'm so glad you could all be there. If you didn't get there, too bad. You won't hear that audio for weeks.
Yeah, a couple of maybe 3 more weeks after this episode drops. I'm not sure.
You should have went to the live show, dude. You missed out. FOMO, Anthony, FOMO.
I didn't have FOMO. I was right on stage getting hit in the head, but we'll have to leave it pretty abstract for everyone who wasn't there. You'll eventually hear what we're talking about.
Cool.
I got bonked.
It was a great weekend, but I think I can speak for all of us when I say, ooh, I'm a little tired. I'm a little worn out from it all. And what I want to do now is just get cozy.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm in the twilight of my own, staged and day career. So
wait, of your career?
Yeah, I think it might just come to an end after that one.
Wow.
So without further ado, why don't we move on to the show and please welcome our guest. Welcoming to the show, it's Chicago comedian with Matt Damon Improv, Allison Reese.
Hello.
Hello, Allison.
Welcome, Allison.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. We had you on the show because you're like incredibly funny. We've seen you a few times on stage, and I think the influence has like traveled throughout Chicago in the way that like we've heard about you all the time.
Oh my
and
gosh.
We just know that you're really, really funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
well, thank
not
you.
to like, tout you up and like now you have to be funny.
Yeah.
No,
there's
I'm
only
okay. If there's one thing I can promise people, it's that I won't be funny.
That would actually be like really cool in sort of an alt Chicago comedy way of just being like, oh, fuck this podcast. Fuck these boys. I'm out of here.
That made me want to throw up.
Well, please do not throw up all over
All of your tech?
our sweet tech.
I'll try not to.
Because what we're talking today isn't vomit, right? It's
It's about sand, right?
perfect segue.
Just about.
Yes, we're talking
Yeah.
about Arizona. So, Allison, what is your personal connection with Arizona?
So I lived in Arizona most of my life. I was born in Binghamton, New York, and then my dad actually missed my birth because he was in Arizona getting a job interview
Oh, dang.
for
Oh.
Intel. He's like a computer chip
Oh,
programmer.
sweet.
He like builds computers and he's
Wow.
a super smart, cool guy.
Yeah, like engineering kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
He's a computer
rad.
engineer.
How did your mom feel about him missing the birth?
I think she was pretty okay with it. I was number 3.
Oh,
they were in college.
okay, yeah, all right.
Changes
I was
things.
kid 3, and they were like super broke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
He's-
job opportunity must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. I've heard tell of what a crazy time it was. Like he got the call and was like throwing my sisters around, like, oh my god.
Oh man.
So what age were you when you guys moved? Were you like literally
in-
less than 1?
Yeah, I was an infant. I was tiny.
So you never remember life outside of the Copper State.
Well, when I was 5, we moved to Northern California for a little
Ooh.
bit. Intel took us there, and then we moved back to Arizona when I was 11.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot of bouncing around.
Yeah, we bounced around a bit.
What did that feel like?
I don't know. I thought it pretty normal to me. I didn't know anything else. I mean, I felt like for me it was at like the right times because I was like
Yeah.
about to go into kindergarten, and then the other time it was like about to be like sixth
middle
grade, junior
schooler.
high. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Those
was
are
like-
nice because you can reinvent yourself totally, and you can like come back to Phoenix, and you're a cool 6th grader now.
LOL,
you know?
yeah, that's exactly.
I'm
what
sure
I
we
did.
were all really cool
Yeah.
6th graders, right?
Definitely me.
Oh, yeah.
I was crushing it.
I did
Uh,
eventually get a girlfriend in 6th grade, I think.
In 6th grade?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Oh my
Okay,
God.
you
That's what's up.
are miles ahead of some of us.
Yeah, that was far before my first kiss, back when I still had the worst haircut I've ever had.
Did you?
Sunburned all
You
the
called
time.
me. You showed a picture of me in 6th grade on this podcast and said that I look like Spock.
Oh my god.
I did look a lot like Spock. I had bad bangs.
Oh my god.
Like, well, this isn't about me, okay?
So, Allison, when did you move from when did you move from Arizona like officially into your like adult career now?
I again did some bouncing. So I was 20 and I moved to Los Angeles. I lived there for about 2 years. Then I moved back to Arizona for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I moved here.
Oh, wow.
And I've been here for 4, almost 5 years.
So what took you to Chicago then?
Comedy stuff. I was doing improv and stuff out in Los Angeles. There's UCB and
Right.
IO West, mainly. And then I came out this way because I wanted to do Annoyance in Second City.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
how long have you been living in Chicago then?
For almost 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So altogether, though, you spent, if I'm doing my math correctly,
Boy.
like 13 years in Phoenix, or not
Something
Phoenix,
like
but
that.
Arizona.
Yeah, Phoenix area.
Oh,
So you're right.
where around Phoenix?
Mesa, Arizona.
Mesa.
It's a suburb. so-
Yes. My parents currently live outside of Phoenix as well, I think. I wish I knew. I use their address for taxes, but I
Oh,
shouldn't.
that's fun.
Yeah,
You should use their address for voting.
I shouldn't I? I feel like I,
I mean,
should
it's
get a
probably
state-
illegal, and they'll catch you.
Yeah,
on
actually,
this podcast.
we shouldn't talk about this. Camden,
We've
you don't
been caught
have
now.
to cut this out. This is all just, whatever. Just plans.
Stuart is
among
committing
friends.
voter fraud almost
No, I
every
am
single
not.
day.
Aries. I'm the problem.
He is writing that down for future reference too.
I'm writing down voter fraud ? Google what is.
So, Allison, what are the differences between like, you've bounced around from Los Angeles and
Mhm.
Arizona, kind of like both of those people, I assume, like the people that come from both of those places.
Yes.
What are like the differences between, I guess, primarily Arizona and Chicago?
Ooh.
Let's broaden it up and say Arizona and anywhere else you've been. Just what makes Arizona an Arizonan special?
Yeah.
I would say, boy, that's a tough one because it's like such a weird mix of folks because it's like a lot of old people from
sure.
the Midwest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, people from Arizona, I'd say are pretty reserved.
I
you-
guess it's just being in that hot sun.
being in
the-
that hot sun,
the
you kind of
broad
mind your
desert.
own. Yeah, you just kind of learn to mind your
Tim,
own
you have
business.
a perfect Arizona
This is
accent.
my Arizona accent, and I think I'm freaking nailing
The
it
hot,
right now.
hot Phoenix sun.
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
Thank you.
Well, so reserved. I wonder if that's maybe just because it is such. It's weird. You don't think of it as like a melting pot, but there is like a weird amounts of different people from different places who all meet up there.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's like Native Americans from the large amount of reservation land that is a part of the state, or Mexican people or of Mexican descent who came over a while ago, or you have this like influx of rich white people from the Midwest who come in, or like I just think like it's so weird that in the desert where it doesn't seem like anyone wants to start or anything, everybody just eventually ends up or
Goes.
congregates there.
Yeah,
you know?
it's weird for sure. But Arizona is said to be pretty good for like heart and lung stuff. So a lot of
I
people,
can imagine.
yeah, and
Oh.
like the medical industry there is really good and booming.
For sure.
Probably because of all the older
Old
folks.
people,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
But also the air there is better and the elevation's low.
Yeah.
And it's cheap.
Well, I mean, you said
Totally.
heart and lungs. I hope on this podcast we manage to touch our listeners' hearts and fill their lungs with laughs.
Well, not
That was
yet.
well placed.
Thank you.
You think so?
That was
Thank you.
yes. That was great job.
I'm ready to get into it, baby. I'm feeling clean after that one.
All right. Well, let's venture on into the arid desert of Arizona with our five senses. So we're gonna start out with the five senses with the smell segment, which I am permanently in charge of as the elder statesman, of course. And while I go retrieve my smell segment from the kitchen, I believe that Stuart has prepared for us a game.
Great.
That is right.
Uh-oh.
What I have prepared for you all today is a combination of Arizona culture and the thrill of racing.
Uh-oh.
The name of this game is Racing Arizona. Thank you. Thank you. So let me explain to you how this game will work, and I hope Tim can hear me. I am going to first let you guys pick a random Arizona car from inside of this little red cup. Then you will enter the Arizona Speedway, a racetrack 3 questions long. If you can answer 3 questions correctly, you'll win the race. But if you answer incorrectly, your car will sputter out and stay put. Now
this
guys,
is fucking fun, Stu.
essentially, the first one of you to answer 3 questions correct will win the race. I'm just going to go in a round. We're going to go as fast as Lightning McQueen himself. But first, why don't you tell everyone what car you'll be racing with? Anthony?
I'm driving the 2010 spicy Mazda Miata MX-5. It's a convertible. It looks like the trunk is pretty small, so I'm not sure how I'm going to fit that monkey and small child, much like Speed Racer.
You think you'll be that fast? Very good. Very
I know
good.
I'll be
Wait.
that fast. There's traction on these tires.
What?
There's a car named Spicy Maserati.
No, spicy Mazda Miata. I added one thing to each of
Okay.
these. We'll just keep going.
And it's accurate. This thing is
yeah,
spicy.
It's spicy as hell. But Allison, what are you driving on the track?
I pulled a 2004 Subaru Outback, cream color.
Great.
And-
oh man.
As a lesbian, I don't know whether to feel seen or attacked.
That car is specifically cream colored. That was my car that I drove to high school for 4 years, guys. And
Amazing.
I just wanted to give a big shout out to the Outback Nation out there. But Tim, what are you driving on the track?
Now I'm curious what you added to this one because I don't see anything. But I'm driving today on the track a 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500, and it's black.
Yeah, I didn't add anything to it because it's a kick-ass car.
It's a perfect car.
It's
perfect
a-
vehicle.
Very Arizona car.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
I've got to feel honest. I feel safe in estimating that I have the highest acceleration and speed, but
Now-
the heaviest weight.
Here's the here's the thing. This is not a race about speed. It's a race of the mind.
Oh God.
I will be
Man.
starting with Tim, from Tim to Allison to Anthony, and back to you, Tim. I'm just going to give you speed questions. The first person to get 3 wins Racing Arizona. Racers, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, you said speed questions, but I thought it would be mind questions. You just said not of speed.
Leave me alone, Miata. Tim, question 1. Tucked deep in the Grand Canyon is an ancient cave hiding the ruins of an Egyptian super civilization. The Smithsonian has been trying to hide it for decades as not to change the course of North American history. Is this a real conspiracy theory?
At the bottom of the Grand Canyon? Absolutely, this is a real conspiracy theory. The Nazca lines have traveled up from Mexico and into the Arizona canyons.
Okay, I'm going to stop you because that last part is not true. But yes, that is a real conspiracy theory that has been going on for like 100 years now, but we got to move on. Allison. The name Arizona comes from the Native American word Arizonac, which means little spring.
I'll say yeah.
That is true. Pretty cool so far, huh? Anthony.
Beep, beep.
Oh, no.
That's a Miata, baby. Arizona has over 40 species of rattlesnake. True or false?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over my music. Let me put my top down. What was the question? 40 species?
40
of
species.
Rattlesnake?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say false. It's gonna be under that.
It's only 13 species. Guys, so far, everybody, you're rounding the first corner of the Arizona Speedway.
Yeah, we all hit lap 1 at the exact same time.
But Tim, I've got another question for you. There is a geological mystery in the Grand Canyon called the Great Unconformity. True or false?
Wait, hold on. Repeat the question again.
There is a geological mystery in the Grand Canyon called the Great Unconformity. Tim, true or false?
Can I,
Nope.
phone a friend?
Nope, it's true or false, and it's a race.
Okay, false.
It was true, guys. That there's side-by-side rock layers that are like 100,000 years old, and then like a couple million, and geologists have no idea how it's working or what happened on the Earth. How cool is that?
Oh, I popped a tire. I'm not happy.
Well, let's speed along, Allison. There are dinosaur fossils in the Grand Canyon. True or false?
True. Nah.
Unfortunately, it's false. The canyon's rock is older than the dinosaurs.
Oh, fuck that.
Anthony. Okay, sounds good. No one has seen Mr. Arizona, Taylor LeBlanc, since 1988.
False.
That's true. I made that guy up. Tim.
Okay,
The Arizona tree frog is the state official reptile. True or false?
false.
True, it's an amphibian. Allison, the FAA was created in part because of the Grand Canyon. True or false?
False. Ah.
It's true. 2 planes collided over the canyon in the 50s while they were trying to show passengers on the plane like how cool it looked.
Oh my god.
And so the FAA had to be created to make sure the planes didn't hit each other.
Wow.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Tim, Anthony, you guys are both
We're in
into
second
your
lap.
last question.
Ooh.
Allison, still in your first lap, but this is anyone's game.
Ah.
Who am I on?
Me.
Anthony.
Yes. Car door slam.
Anthony.
Trunk open.
Arizona is roughly the size of Italy. True or false?
Oh my God. This one, I'm blown back.
And
by
remember, this is a race.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say, false. Fuck.
Whoa.
It is true.
Should've
They're
gone
about
with my
the same
gut.
square mileage. Pretty cool.
Whoa.
Very interesting.
Tim. The age of a cigar. I'm sorry. You know what? I spelled that one wrong. I'm not even going to give it to you.
Right.
Let me ask you this: it is legal to hunt camels in the state of Arizona. True or false?
True, I guess. Yeah.
It's false, Tim. It's illegal.
Well, there are no camels in Arizona. I thought that was a
most
made-up
of them
law.
are in zoos or preservations, Tim. To hunt them would be illegal.
Well, you can't.
Wah, wah. Allison. Colossal Cave is one of the smaller tourist caves in the world. True or false?
True.
Wah, wah. Unfortunately, Colossal Cave is one of the biggest. It's colossal.
Sounds made up.
I'm running out of facts here, guys. Anthony.
Reverse.
Oh, here's one for you. In Glendale, Arizona, cars may not be driven in reverse. True or false?
Wow, ironic timing.
That's why I gave it to you, man.
I'll say true.
Oh,
man.
I believe Anthony has just finished our race. Congratulations, it is true.
So does he get to raise Arizona now?
I think if
Nice.
anything, that was good. Yeah, so I guess you get to raise the Arizona Cup above your head. Congratulations, sir.
That's amazing.
Oh.
That's your trophy.
Nice.
Very nice.
Got
Thank
handed a
you.
red Solo Cup. Great job, Anthony.
You know, of all the hopes and dreams that I have for my life, one of them is to own a 2010 spicy Mazda Miata MX-5, specifically in gunmetal gray.
Well, guys, those cars, you feel free to take them home with you because I printed them out special for everyone at the table.
Those are limited edition cards. That's crazy.
Allison is tucking it into her pocket.
Saving
mine
it
now.
forever.
Well, that was the game.
Great job, Stu. That
Great
was
job.
Racing Arizona. We're going to move on to our regular segment now. Today, for the smell segment, I have prepared for you all something that is so intrinsic to Arizona that I just think it's impossible to avoid. So today, I've prepared for you all a hot pot, don't touch it, and a cold bag of sand.
Oh my god.
Now,
What?
inside the pot is hot sand. And really what I'm trying to get at is, are there differences between the smells of hot and cold sand?
I am thrilled.
Good. I'm glad that the smell of sand is thrilling everybody.
I just put my nose inside the hot pot. It certainly smells a little bit like dirt, and there is a warmer smell coming out of it. Allison is getting her schnoz deep into this bag of cold sand.
It smells mostly like the plastic bag.
Oh, no. Well,
Interesting.
okay. Well, I bet we can amend
sand
that.
doesn't smell.
Well, let's see what happens when you get in the hot sand.
Now, I smelled this before I brought it out here, and the hot sand definitely did have an odor to me.
Yeah, I think that it does have that signature. Maybe not the same baked smell that it has in Arizona from the sun beating down directly onto it, because we're heating it from the bottom instead of the top. So I feel like that probably has some effect. Also, there are sticks and twigs in the pot. I know we're not using our eyes in this
Right.
segment. We're using our noses. But it kind of leads me to believe in a worrying fashion that you went to a playground and dug this out of a sandbox.
Where did the sand come from?
The sand came from Loyola Beach. I was up in Rogers Park because I had to go get our taste segment, and I went to the beach and I got some sand. And
Okay.
yes, it was next to the playground.
Okay.
It was next to it. It wasn't.
That's
it wasn't
totally
at it.
fine. And you know what? I think, speaking as someone not from Arizona natively, this certainly smells like sand.
Ah, excellent.
The cold
Allison.
sand. Sorry.
Are you picking up any differences between this cold and hot sand?
Yeah, I would say so.
She's sticking her sniffer in that
the,
pot.
the biggest thing is that the cold sand truly does not smell like anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, I can't even
Can I
pick
get
up.
that back? Yeah.
Maybe I just still have a cold, or maybe my nose is working double time from the live show this weekend, but I can't smell a damn thing in that bag.
Honestly, it smells like cookies. To me, the bag smells like cookies.
Did you have cookies in there before you put some in?
It's a fresh bag.
What kind of cookies are you having? Pecan sandies?
Nice.
Sick.
Some blondies, baby. Some golden blondies.
Okay, well, I think we have to sort of figure out a way to know if this is successful or not. Allison, is it reminding you of home at all?
It is.
Oh,
Oh.
awesome. Wow.
It reminds me of my backyard a little bit.
Interesting.
Ah.
Yeah.
Is your backyard incredibly sandy?
Not at all, no. It's not sandy.
Is it grass?
But it does have a cold bag of sand. in it.
Yes, exactly. No, there is. We do have like a lot of dirt and stuff. We live right in front of the desert, so it's like housing development, and then behind our house is just like miles and miles of desert.
You're the ones with the view in the place.
Oh,
yes,
that's right.
Hell yeah.
We're at the view and with the coyotes and all of the
wildlife.
The scary
Sure,
wildlife.
you watch the gates for the rest of the community.
Basically, yeah.
I think that you guys are knights of Arizona.
Thank you so much.
So,
Speaking of nights in Arizona, cold sand.
Cold sand. That's exactly what I was going for. I was going for the hot.
It kind of actually that kind of does. So I drove a Jeep in high school, and that is kind of what it smells like at night driving home.
A
little bit.
Like
cold sand.
Pecan cookies.
One thing I wish we were using this for the touch segment, because one thing that I'd like to do with sand is just dig my toes in there, and I feel like maybe we should put this under the table and.
Anthony, no, I'm not going to sit across from you while you play footsie with a bag of sand under the table. I don't want that to happen.
Come on, man.
Hey, man.
I won't get it on the carpet.
I know you will.
Stu, you're just shaming Anthony at this point. I mean, come on.
You know what? I should never kink shame anyone else. Anthony, if you...
This is for research purposes only.
Oh, okay.
Always is.
Okay.
So, Allison, let me ask, let's say out of... How many grains of sand is in this bag, you think?
Oh,
How many do I think?
Just ballpark it.
Ballpark, like 1 million at least.
Okay, so out of 1 million grains of sand, how many grains of sand does Tim's smell segment get in reminding you of home?
Out of 1 million?
1 million being the highest.
I would say 750,000 to 800,000.
Wow.
That's a pretty good sand count.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's solid.
That's like a pocket full of sand, for sure.
And what would be some smells that you think are missing from this segment? Like, is there anything other than,
sand,
actual sand, sun-baked sand or clay? What speaks to you about the smells of Arizona?
I would definitely say clay is pretty right on, because you can definitely smell the pavement in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so hot, it is just baking.
Yeah. Just like melting asphalt.
Yeah, which is, I would say that would be something.
I'm thankful Tim didn't try and bring in hot tar, but...
It was suggested to me before I came in here, and I did heavily consider putting tar in a pot. And I think I really need to. I need to analyze a lot of things about myself.
Another thing you could have done was wet dirt.
Wet dirt.
Wet dirt. And
you would be shocked as to how many times Tim has brought us wet dirt.
Really? I actually.
Yeah.
With the sand, I would not. I would.
Yeah. I think the sand is specific for Arizona with the desert, but I do almost want to smell like wet sand, like after rain. I want to smell like rainy sand.
You all know that I've been trying to acquire the smell of rain. I've been trying to tap into that essence for so long, and once I do.
You're doing all this precipitation research, and meanwhile, Anthony's research is all based on sand and toes. And I'm here to help you however you can. But honestly, 800,000 grains of sand.
And I've achieved 800,000 grains of sand. Well, that's...
I'm sorry to nitpick, but didn't you say 750,000?
To 800.
And I'm definitely leaning higher on that.
You're rounding up.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going 80%. I've received
We graded on a curve.
Yeah, for sure. So.
No Tim left behind here.
Okay, well, that was the smell segment. I have received 800,000 grains of sand out of 1 million. And moving on to the next segment, I believe that Anthony has prepared a visual presentation. So I will be passing over my laptop. Coincidentally, we're actually switched up in the seats normally. So Anthony is the closest he's been to the laptop ever. Just kidding.
Just kidding. I juked it. We gotta keep the laptop away from Anthony, or else he will be in control of how long the segment lasts, and it will go on for 3 hours. So
yeah, we just have so much to talk about with my outrageously perfect slides.
Well, why don't you start with slide 1 and tell us what's on there?
All right, so for the Welcome to Arizona slide, I included the original logo of the Arizona Coyotes. I know that coyotes are native wildlife, but I also just think that this is one of the most underappreciated logos in all of sports history, especially for the NHL. I think that this is an absolutely awesome logo. I would recommend that everybody look it up. It is in a style of art that does represent like local Arizona historical art. So
Yeah, it's like a very geometric coyote looking orange, maroon, green, and purple coyote.
Very Native American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wielding a hockey stick and looking really cool.
In terms of Native American inspired hockey emblems, this one is
The
a
number
1,000
one,
times
yeah.
better than anyone else.
It's
out
the
there.
only one we
It's
should
the only one
recognize.
that I'm like
Certainly.
even sort of okay with.
and that's just not hockey. That's not just hockey as well.
That's true. Anywhere.
A glowing example.
Now,
for-
how the hell is there hockey in Arizona? Come on, we're not
know?
answering the real questions here.
You'd be surprised. Street hockey was quite the thing.
Oh, I forgot about street hockey.
Street hockey was the jam when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
In the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, exactly. hmm
Fucking
Calling
badass.
Especially in the 90s when
Rocket
like
power.
rollerblades were the thing.
Oh,
Dude, you have
hell
no
yeah.
idea.
Oh,
Now,
It was
man.
like
that-
We made our own Madtown. It was just a big gutter, but it was ours.
Mighty Ducks 2 had just hit theaters and everyone was going insane.
So what I always recognized about Arizona as well, at least the neighborhood in Phoenix where my grandmother had lived, was that there were basically no cars on the street because it was so many elderly folks in the community that they were basically just hanging out in their houses, walking around, puttering around on a scooter. You know, it was free streets to roam
And
in,
that's
and we
a
rented
Razor
bikes.
scooter?
Huh?
Those are Razor
Oh
scooters?
yeah, they were doing tricks. We had some BMX shocks on there.
Now, I know this is a controversial topic, but do you guys think that elderly people should be able to tear up the skate park?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. So
Hear me now. You will never be too old to pop a damn flip.
I don't think that anybody should age out of their right to be rad.
Oh my
Right
god.
to be rad.
all right. Well, we should probably move
That,
on, right?
that was
Please.
amazing.
All right, here we have the state outline of Arizona. It's not necessarily very descriptive. I think that it kind of looks like a heart in an abstract way. I don't know. That's
Huh.
kind of the closest I can get. It does have some very geometric sides, like harsh lines, but then the west coast of it is a little more jagged. What's going on there?
Oh, the West Coast?
Yeah.
Like this part? On the
California.
western- Yeah, that's California, I think.
California's happening
California.
over there.
It's the river.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which
It's the
river?
Colorado River.
Oh, okay. Nice water highway right there.
Yeah, I think that's the divider between Arizona and California. And then the rest of it is like that. It's that the four quarters is right here.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And as a Colorado, my native self, I have to give you props for being from a four corner state. There are only so many of us out there.
It's exactly four.
That's true.
Only four.
Right. So, Allison, do you see anything when you look at these borders, or is this in
Yeah,
What do
I
you see?
definitely see this could be a face.
Yep.
So like the jagged edge
Oh, I
is maybe
totally see
hair
this.
being blown back in the wind. And then the rest of
Oh.
it is like he's got like a really sick fade, but like the rest of it is just like fucked up.
You
You know what I mean? And like this down here is the
Yeah.
chin.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
it
yeah.
kind of curves
And it
back down
curves-
the shoulder.
hmm
Yeah, I think it kind of almost it looks like a car door that was flipped open and like hit by another car at the edge. That's
Oh,
what gives
yeah.
you that fray on the
Yeah.
side. But to be honest, guys, this is a toughie.
I definitely see the face. So I'm pointing at the southwest side. This is a man's quivering lip. Okay. And then you have his little nose right there and a little tuft of hair right at the northwestern
Okay,
side.
but what's he coming out of, Tim?
What's he coming out of? A hot sauna. He's sweating profusely and he's
Okay.
ripped just after a workout.
What are you seeing? I think-
What?
So he's
Look,
looking at the negative space
Yeah.
rather than the
where the negative space is, Tim is envisioning a sweaty, just beefcake hunk.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the man's face, and he's facing east. So you see, like, his nose is pointing to the flat
Oh.
side there.
I do see that. But that's more
Interesting.
California.
Yeah,
Right?
I agree.
Right.
I think, unfortunately, Tim, you have crossed the border.
What?
All right, let's move on to the next slide here. We have the state
All right.
flag. Now, I think this is a pretty neat one. What we have here is a don't look at me like that, Stu. I think it's neat. I'm entitled to my opinion. The star is copper colored. It represents the copper production in the state, the number one producer of cotton in the whole United States. We have 13 red and yellow rays. Those are the colors of the flag of Spain intentionally, but it also represents the picturesque nature of the state, specifically, a sunset. And then the blue is just there for aesthetic purposes. So the bottom half of the flag is blue. The top part is the interchanged red and yellow rays, and then the star is right smack dab in the middle. I don't know. I think this is pretty cool. What do you guys think?
I think it's awesome. It doesn't look like the other flags. I feel like a lot of the flags that we have are very it's still red, white, and blue. Like, it's still gonna be that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like the entire Southeast and southern states are just all red, white, and blue.
What I want to give it credit for is that this flag is so simple, but it is still evoking something that is entirely Arizona in this like sunrise sort of like desert sunrise, sunset kind of idea. And like when I see it, I feel like I see the landscape of the state as opposed to just like a design on a flag. I like this flag.
Yeah.
And I think based on our one of our more recent episodes, Connecticut, I think Tracy would really like this flag.
Well, Tracy broke down so many design aspects that we were only fumbling around for 20-something episodes.
Right. It remains to have those four colors. I mean, we're good, right?
I think it's four colors. It's simple. It can be seen from afar. And most importantly for us, it does not have the word Arizona written on the bottom of the flag to denote for like people in the state to be like, that's right, I do still live here. Okay, good.
Where am I? Oh, yeah.
I think this is a great flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that I might adjust would be the color of that star. If we were making changes, I understand the copper representing the copper in the state, but I just think it does kind of get washed out by its background. Maybe that's just because I have that like verging on color blindness where those colors start, almost like
it is that.
If I were shaking my head side to side, I wouldn't be able to see that star in there.
I feel like it's supposed to blend in there.
Yeah, I think it's almost supposed to blend like sort of the watercolor changes of a night sky as the sun crests below the horizon.
Okay. Well, I take it back. It should stay.
Anybody else sweating
larger?
after that? Whoa.
It should be larger than it is now. All right, here we have the state flower, the saguaro blossom. Saguaro. Saguaro.
Yeah, I think Tom Saguaro just sold out the Chicago Theater.
This is fuck you. There's a flowering. These are flowering cacti that can grow over.
I'm sorry.
Stu, fuck you. These are flowering cacti that can grow over 40 feet tall. And these blossoms, pop out of the top. So I think this is pretty interesting. I love the selection. I think it means a lot to the state. And these are pretty strikingly common throughout the state. So unlike a lot of states that we see who just kind of choose their flowers at random, seemingly, this is a true symbol of the state. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this definitely looks like home. I mean, I don't know that I see these flowers all the time.
Yeah.
At least like this.
This looks like a stellar example of what this is supposed to look like.
I feel like this is a rare moment that we're capturing because normally I've driven through Arizona a fair amount of times to visit my parents, and you see these cactuses like they're everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
They're protected by the government. I think to chop one down gets you like a year in prison, I think.
Whoa.
Because their height measures this is crazy that I know all this stuff about this cactus.
What's crazier is that the idea that anybody would be like, you know what, I'm gonna cut down that.
I'm gonna cut down the motherfucking cactus, bro.
Cactus over there. Yeah,
I'm gonna take it home and put lights on it. Presents under it.
It's horrible, but literally it takes like for every arm on one of these cactuses, those classic like cactus right turn arms, those take like I think 10 to 30 years to grow. So if you see one with a couple of those, it's almost 100 years old. And it's insane
beautiful
to think someone would just go out there and knock them over. But I think it makes a great state flower.
Yeah, I would say so too. Also because it just represents life. because the cactus is very much the only thing that can like really live and sustain in the desert, and it makes it so that the animals can live and sustain. Because inside a cactus is water.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's how any animal survives. And then also when they die, it just gets hollowed out and becomes their homes.
Yeah, and like a bird hangs out in there and catches bugs and stuff.
Exactly. Also, this picture, there's definitely like a bee in the flower.
Oh yeah, look at that.
It's very like fruitful.
Whoa.
This picture.
It really
Certainly.
Anthony, you picked a great picture.
Thank
great
you.
job, Anthony.
I wish I
Save
could
the
say
bees.
Yeah, save the bees. I wish I could say that I took this photo, but we were
Okay.
just. I did take it off of the internet. One thing. Oh man. Okay.
Sorry.
One thing I wanted to point out about this is do you think that the lack of visibility on these flowers themselves has to do with the fact that these are 40 feet up in the air, or do you think that they, perhaps burn and fall off, or do you think they become like little stumps? What do you think causes that?
I bet some of them only last like a few weeks, maybe, because like I don't think plants flower forever, right?
Mm-mm.
Like they
Yeah.
like
No,
quickly.
it's seasonal, yeah.
yeah, they do away with their flowers pretty quickly.
And I think, yeah, if you think of these as like a little tuft of like Lisa Simpson hair at the top of a cactus, I think it would be hard to eventually see it. I think it's up in the air, maybe closer to the sun. They light on fire and something like that.
All right, so we touched on this a little bit, but a lot of animals do use these cacti as homes, and I think this is awesome. The state bird for Arizona is the cactus wren, which nests especially in the saguaro, and they actually create little homes by hollowing out the stumps there.
well,
So cool.
they must have some hard little feet, because how do those needles not get in there? Come on.
Or big beaks, sharp beaks. I think I think this bird looks persistent. Look at those eyes.
This bird looks like a dinosaur.
It really does. I mean, it's got
This-
like this really long neck, and I don't know.
I
kinda-
love its sort of speckled black and white like features. This is an absolute firestorm of a bird. This is a hot bird.
An
This is a
absolute
bird you don't mess with.
an
No.
absolute Oreo McFlurry of a bird.
In what way? What, good?
Sweet.
That it's good. Allison, do you see these around Arizona? Is this a common bird?
This does look familiar. Can't say I would. Yeah, I think I've seen these around.
It does look pretty just like commonly bird.
Just like commonly bird-like. It definitely makes sense too that it would be those colors. It's very deserty color, so like cream, tan, something that blends in
Yeah,
like that.
super
so
blends in.
Oh, cream
Yeah.
like that Subaru Outback.
exactly like my
Ah,
car.
Perfect,
Yes.
perfect.
Meep.
All right. Anthony, what's next?
All right, here we're getting into the cities.
Nice.
We do have a saguaro cactus in the foreground of this picture, but in the back there you can see the skyline of Phoenix.
Yes.
That's the capital city of Arizona and the most populous. And beyond it, you can see mountains. So I think this is a very interesting shot. I love that. In almost every picture of all of these cities, there was an option that included a cactus in the foreground. So I tried to limit those just so
It's all about knowing your good angles, Maybe you're not the best city in America, but if you can get a pretty cactus in the foreground, people are going to forget about that, dude.
Oh, yeah.
This is a pretty picture, but Allison, you grew up pretty close to here, right?
I did. Yes.
Do you know like what all these mountain ranges are, and like possibly even where we are taking the photo?
Scanning, geolocating.
I can definitely tell this is Phoenix. I want to say I can't tell if this is the ASU mountain or if we're looking at it. So ASU is in Phoenix
Mhm.
around here,
Yeah.
or in Tempe, technically, I guess.
Does ASU own a mountain?
There is a mountain with a big AS on it for ASU.
That seems
Whoa.
very easy to vandalize.
You would be surprised. It's like
Okay.
everybody has like super respects for like the gross party school it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They're like, I don't see anybody being like, "Let's fuck with that."
I guess,
Also, it's
yeah.
on like a mountain. I don't know.
That's
the
true.
desert.
It's like I don't want to lug up a bunch of white paint up a mountain.
Well, it's
what
like
am I?
I assume it's carved into the mountainside.
I think it's made of rocks, actually. I think it's made of a bunch of red and yellow rocks.
man.
Ooh,
That
solid.
rocks.
What?
What?
What did you just say?
Let's move on to the next slide.
all
Here
right.
we have.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh wow!
Oh, well,
okay.
hey, look at that.
I actually didn't notice that when I pulled this picture. This is Tucson, Arizona, home to the University of Arizona.
This is Tucson?
That is.
Okay. I guess they
Wait.
both have A's.
So-
that makes sense because this one's white.
There
So-
are a lot of A's.
So
A
there are
mountain.
two. There's University of Arizona and Arizona State University.
Yes.
Oh.
So ASU is like a party school, and
Right.
U of A is like you're gonna be a doctor or something.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay. Sick.
It is kind of fun that they have two different A's. They have the one on the mountain for ASU and then the one here for U of A because, like, you know, there's two A's in Arizona as well. Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The
But what
alpha.
about NAU?
Now
Hey,
I'm
gold?
Anthony.
I think that. I think that it is interesting how there are these two universities, one that makes the doctors and one that makes the people who drink to a point where they're forced to go to them. But I think that this is an interesting looking city. And I think that one thing I love about this photo is it shows that there is green life in Arizona. It can survive there.
A lot of
It's
these are
tough.
mesquite trees.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
So is
They
that
love
like
to
a
barbecue?
desert?
I would say so. I know it's like dark brown roots and like feathery leaves.
Yeah. They smell, right? Mesquite
Ye-
trees?
I believe so. Yeah. I know we used to have one in my front yard, and it was just big, and it kind of had like spikes on it.
Yeah.
So like you don't.
Is the
Fuck with
bottom
it?
of it like bulbous? Is that where the
No.
spikes are?
No, but there are a lot of like palm trees. Is that
Okay,
what,
maybe I'm just thinking of
like
a palm
tiny
tree.
tiny palm trees?
Like a little palm tree.
A
A
little
palmet?
Little
Palmet?
A palmetto?
Just a little palm.
There's also
Wow, that would be my drag name.
little
I'm
palmetto.
Palmetto. Tim Meadows' son.
I think that I also love that this photo captures that Arizona sunset. I think that's such a gorgeous color. And it does kind of match in a weird way those buildings that we see in Tucson.
Mhm.
And I have like for some reason I've heard of Tucson referred to as like in a negative connotation.
Mm.
Like people kind of view it as like a hick town almost, which
Oh, really?
it doesn't look that way
Ooh.
visually. I mean,
I personally, as someone who grew up not in Tucson but around it, I always thought of it as just like a boring city in
same.
Arizona. Like I just thought it was like a kind of a businessy, like, oh, you live in Tucson, you probably have like a family and you're like settled there.
Yeah, there's not. That's how I think of it too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, is there something about Tucson we don't know, Anthony, that's like exciting and rad?
well,
It's close
perhaps.
to the border.
Yeah. And you know, maybe those are just old outdated stereotypes, you know, or just pure stereotypes for people who've never been there.
Let's
that
update
travel.
those stereotypes.
For
Yeah.
sure. All right, let's hit the next slide. That should look very familiar, Allison.
Mm.
It's Mesa.
Yeah.
East of Phoenix.
Nice.
And as you can see in the photo, there are those like residential housing complexes pretty spread throughout.
Yeah. So this looks sort of familiar-ish. I lived right by Superstition Spring Mountains, which
Ooh.
yeah, there's like a whole legend that goes with it.
What's the legend?
The legend is that there are these two Dutchmen who came over and they had a bunch of stolen gold, I want to say.
Hey, you.
Nice. Holy crap.
All right, go on.
Anyways, so they were in this mountain and they were going to get caught or they were lost. They got lost. Something happened. They got into a fight over the gold, over the treasures, and one of them killed the other and it was just him and the gold. But then he didn't have his buddy, so he couldn't make it out. So somewhere in the mountain
Wow.
is this person's dead body and all of the treasure.
Right, holding on to
Wow.
a big pile of gold.
There are pictures, there's like a thing I want to say where it's like if the shadow hits the right way, you can see it. It looks like a thumb or a thumbs up. Like a shadow hits it and it looks like something, and that's where it is.
Interesting.
That sounds
God's
like-
thumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God's thumb from Fools.
What if I was just trolling you guys right now? Just
Legend is sweet onions grow at the top.
I'm
Have
like
you ever had
actually from
sploosh?
Connecticut.
This seems like a pretty quiet place. It doesn't seem like a bad place to grow up. It looks really pretty in terms of, I mean, obviously it's suburbia at the bottom of this photo,
Mhm.
but I don't mind the view at all.
The view is
Mountains.
incredible.
How did you feel about growing up here?
I liked it. I didn't feel any type of negative way about it. I mean, not a whole lot happened, I guess.
Mhm.
But it was really cool. I drove a Jeep in high school. So like the thing about Arizona is it's like a lot of open sky.
Mhm.
And so like that was really cool because I drove like a Wrangler so you could see the sky all the time.
Hold on, Allison. Did you drive a Jeep with no roof and no doors?
I had doors.
Ooh.
I'm not crazy.
I am sorry to admit that I drove a Jeep Wrangler without a roof and no doors.
Wild.
you
We're
serious?
exciting Jeep friends, I think.
Wow.
We got the nod down.
Yeah, hell
Or
yeah. Our little like
Yes.
Allison
Oh,
and I
you
just speak a
fucking
language you guys
Jeep
can't even
wave.
understand.
Jesus.
The Jeep Wave is a thing.
We got a big dog in the passenger seat. I'm a
What?
big dog behind the wheel, you know.
Meanwhile, I'm in my spicy Mazda Miata MX-5.
Spicy.
Do you miss the mountains, Allison?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something very like grounding about it.
I would imagine like missing like going on hikes a lot.
Mm.
If Missouri had mountains where I grew up, I don't think I would have like stayed indoors as much as I
Yeah.
did.
You say that. You get used to mountains pretty quick. But then suddenly you go to Chicago and you're like, where are my mountains?
Well, my mountains.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
exactly what happened.
it
yeah.
really was. It was so sad the first few weeks I was here where I was like, I have no idea what direction I'm walking in because I don't have mountains.
Or like a really pristine idea of like what the sun is doing.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
all of
I
the
could just
buildings.
time stuff out. And I have no idea. But it's a great slide, Anthony. Do you want to kick us forward?
Yeah, let's go on to my last city that I have here.
Hmm.
Now, this is Scottsdale. It's not next
Oh.
on the list in terms of population, but I included it just because I've heard so much about it. Now, it is kind of blowing up because it's considered the South Beach Miami of,
What?
of the Southwest.
No.
Where the hell did you pull that out?
That is a direct thing that I read online.
That's insane.
But it has a large nightlife scene apparently, and
I mean,
there are lots of young people moving here.
okay.
Is that my parents want to move to Scottsdale really badly?
All,
Party
all
animals.
parents want to move to Scottsdale.
Party.
Scottsdale's pretty cool. It is where it's like rich white people
Yeah.
central. It's
Yeah.
like a very snooty pooch sort
It's-
of part of town.
It's like if a cheesecake factory was a whole town.
yeah.
Like, it's just all warm, bad architecture, and you're like, okay, this was designed to make everyone happy, and it has not a lot of character, at
Yeah.
least from the times I've been there.
So the cool thing about Scottsdale is Scottsdale Community College, which is on a reservation.
Ooh.
And that school is incredible because their film program is outstanding. I went to that
Oh,
film
for real?
program for a little bit. Yeah, and legend has it, ASU was supposed to get a shit ton of money
Mhm.
from this guy. And he's like, you got to name your film department after me. And ASU was like, no. He's like, fine. The community college gets it.
Damn.
So we had
That's
like all
awesome.
this crazy cool stuff. They would
Hell
go to
yeah.
Sundance every year and like
wow.
do all this crazy stuff.
Whoa.
It was cool. Bill Hader went there for a little bit.
Very cool.
See, like,
AD
hell yeah.
Bryant's from there.
That is such a great. God.
David
That's
Spade.
That's
not
crazy
a-
to
not
know.
a
The
Oh,
Spade.
Oh my god.
I don't know those other names, but of course I know David.
Davey?
It's so rich that this place has a fucking canal built through it. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if this is like a legitimate river,
This
but
is-
it doesn't look like it was there before.
This is where young douchebags go on a gentra vacation.
Nice. That is exactly
Land.
right.
So let me expose myself as one of those young douchebags and create a
We already knew.
create a segue to the next slide, guys. Along that canal, I actually segued myself as a young teenage boy on a Segway, and I crashed and got hurt pretty bad.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Sorry.
Nice.
Never
Best
recovered,
vacay
huh?
of my life.
Sorry, Stu.
What's next?
What could it be other than the Grand Canyon?
Mhm.
277 miles long, over a mile deep, 18 miles wide. Naturally carved out by the Colorado River, exposing rock and ground that's about 2 billion years old. 2 billion years old.
Thanks, Dr. Evil.
2 billion years worth of life right there in front of you.
And not a single dinosaur. What's going on, guys? Where are they?
Same. I would like to know.
There are tons of fossils there, but they're all from like ancient like mollusk sea times where this used to be an
even
ocean.
scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst time in the world where everything was just tentacles and shells, and like that was just all there was.
Yeah.
I wonder where they are now.
No love, no thought. Just
Where are they these days? I wonder.
Well, the Grand Canyon is beautiful. I've never been to it personally, but definitely on my bucket list for sure. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon, Allison?
A couple times. Once when I was too little to remember. And then my sister went to NAU, which is in Flagstaff, which is kind of near the Grand
Is
Canyon.
that northern Arizona?
Yeah.
Okay.
And fun fact, they were going to build Hollywood there.
Wow.
When they were
happened?
moving it was snowing when they got there.
In
And they were
Arizona?
like, what? Yeah, it's high elevation. So
Ah,
it snows there. NAU, it snows. And because it was originally on the East Coast,
Mhm.
and then they were going to move it out west, and they were going to do Flagstaff. That was one of the stops they had. And they're
It's
like, no.
Crazy to imagine that this Hollywood industry was crossing the desert and they got halfway through and were like, I guess this is it, huh?
I think this is a gorgeous shot of a gorgeous place. I think that I've only been to the Grand Canyon once as a child because we would always be visiting my grandma in Phoenix, and they only wanted to make the drive out there once. But I have a distinct memory of it because I got these comic books at the visitors center that they had that were like eco warriors, and one of their villains was
Like
the
that.
litter bug who was
Ooh.
throwing trash on the ground of the Grand Canyon.
Amazing.
And there was a Native American superhero who could turn into a dinosaur for some reason.
I don't
What's
know
going
how
on
those
here?
This
connect.
is
This is crazy.
Historically accurate. Well, I mean, the Grand Canyon is like one of America's greatest treasures. So, I mean, no matter how boring Tucson may be, this is like in the same fucking state. So, what are
Yeah.
you going to say? This is incredible.
a crazy thing about this is that they don't have any gates anywhere on this thing. So people
Yeah.
die all
Yeah.
the time.
Oh, they
And
like
people-
fall.
people-
Good. Honestly, like, if you're stupid enough to get, what are you doing? It's the Grand Canyon,
Also-
you idiot.
Also,
That's
people
very
die
funny.
trying to hike down, or they'll hike down and get stuck at the bottom because they forget that they have to go both ways. There's not like a tram or
That's
something to
insane.
carry you up.
It's
You
a lot.
fools.
I love the idea, though, that they're not like trying to make it a tourist thing. It's just literally like, come out and see this thing, and if you die, you die. But it is good looking. You know?
Truly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh.
Congratulations, Arizona.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go. So located near the Grand Canyon, or actually in the Grand Canyon within Havasupai tribal lands, we have Havasu Falls. And this is just a gorgeous waterfall with a gorgeous blue pool and the striking color of the water is from some sort of like calcium buildup. But the rocks surrounding it are this gorgeous red color. There's like fertile green sweeping around there as well. I think this is an absolutely gorgeous shot, but I love that it's located within tribal lands because I think that in contrast to places like Connecticut, for instance, Native Americans, a large point of their economy is not based off of like gambling. It's based off of the natural resources that the state still has and the natural sites that they have.
Mhm.
So I think that it's a very based on tourism, and I think that's really awesome that it's in their hands.
I mean, Anthony, you said it, but this site is literally gorgeous. It's a gorge.
Nice.
Oh man.
You want to move on?
Allison, have you ever been to Havasu Falls?
I have not.
It
But
looks-
it's very pretty. It looks like a hot spring almost.
yeah.
I would be worried that you'd get there and there would be like a lot of people down there swimming in Chaco sandals. Like,
Mhm. in
Awful.
t-shirts.
yeah.
Or like Adam Sandler is shooting a movie there. That's what I thought it was. It was
Oh
like
my
an-
gosh.
and
That's
I
so funny.
see-
It looks
yeah,
like
it's like-
grown-ups.
It looks like grown-ups. You can see Jennifer Aniston getting like undressed in the pool over
Oh
here.
no, Jennifer Aniston, leave those movies.
Yeah. She
Well,
really does.
what do we got going on next, Anthony?
We have Antelope Canyon. This is
Oh.
located on Navajo land near Page, Arizona.
I didn't know this
and
was
it's
Arizona.
yeah, it's accessible by guided tour only.
These
Uh,
rocks make me feel like I'm on mescaline.
What is that?
They're
Cool,
so
dude.
wavy, bro.
I think this is
Is that drugs?
if
Yeah.
if I know it correctly, like you have to book months and months in advance and like fill out all sorts of forms that show that you're an experienced hiker and stuff to go through this because they don't want anything destroyed or touched or changed. Those are why those guided tours are 100% necessary. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
they don't want anybody to go in here that's just gonna like carve
Fucking
their
awesome.
name
Sam
into the
loves
wall.
fucking Caitlyn or whatever.
Yeah.
You hit on this earlier, but when you were discussing like how it's illegal to chop down the cactuses, like one big problem throughout Arizona is natural. Like it's got so much natural land and all these beautiful places that one of its largest problems is people just coming and being assholes. They want to take things with them. They want to leave an impression on something that
on history.
that's existed for billions of years without them, their initials.
But again, Sam plus Caitlyn is forever. So eat that, Anthony.
it just really
Also-
sucks that humans are that selfish. It's not surprising. It just is. It's disheartening.
I would just want to point out that this looks like a cut in a commercial for ED.
It does look
Erectile.
it-
It's like, are you having trouble performing?
and
like
a camera's
dude,
like moving
yeah,
through
and he
here.
has like a stick, and he's going through, and his wife, and they're
His
both
wife is like
59.
a little below,
Yeah.
and the guy puts his hand out and pulls her up, and it says like, "Not anymore."
There's a
He's like-
bathtub that we have yet
Yeah,
to
they're
get
both
to.
in bathtubs holding hands.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a product called Dry Heat.
Anthony, what is on this next slide?
We have Saguaro National Park in Pima County, Arizona. As you can tell from the massive saguaro cacti.
I see him.
Yeah.
This is pretty near to where I live, I want to say. Pima County is the county over. I live in Maricopa County.
So, Anthony, I don't know if you know this, but how many like state parks are there in Arizona? It seems like a lot.
You know, in lots of these slideshows, we find like weird roadside attractions or buildings that have significance, or historical sites along the lines of like monuments or statues. Arizona, pretty much exclusively on the list that I was looking at, had natural sites in national parks. So I think it does a great job of protecting that land and preserving those natural areas and the flora and fauna that live within it.
Right,
So
and fighting against those old ED men coming to destroy their attractions.
I don't know if you know anything about this, Allison, but I read on Wikipedia that like a large portion, like 17 to 20% of Arizona is like privately owned. Do you know like
Whoa.
yeah, it's like a huge portion of it is not owned by the government. And I'm not sure if that was like separated into Native American reservations
Or is it
or
the
if
government?
Ooh.
So where we lived was it was like our housing development and then desert. But for a really long time, we were the only thing out there. And there was a huge GM testing ground. So you would go down our street and it would be like this huge like testing ground. You couldn't see. There were all these fences and signs saying "Do not enter," and you couldn't even see like a track or anything. But it was massive, and you would have to pass that, and you drive 10 minutes down this road, and then you're at a like housing development. Once houses started going up, they took it away. It like stopped, and it was ginormous.
Huh.
And it's no longer there. And I feel like there's a lot of like alien sightings in
Yeah.
Arizona because my theory, I don't know. I feel like there's
yes. Get into it.
oh man,
Here we go.
I don't want them to come after me.
We'll protect
I
you.
feel like they there's probably a lot of like testing of things out there because there's not a lot out there.
There's no
Yeah.
oversight.
exactly.
You
Well, I
can
think-
like literally be hidden.
I
in
love the
desert.
idea that like a GM factory where they're just like building a new truck or something has the security of like
of Area
of
51.
Area 51.
For sure.
That's I'm telling you, it's a front.
But yeah, I think honestly could be. I think like there are tons of like alien sightings and whatnot in the deserts because like it's the easiest place to like fly planes and whatnot. And if
Absolutely.
it crashes, it's gonna hit dirt, not some person's house.
So
There was right before we moved there was like a big thing of like lights, and it was like it was a huge like news story where they're like just these like crazy bright lights, and all these people were like recording it.
Yeah.
oh,
I
creepy.
what? Okay, so I'd like to watch these kind of alien shows. Was it the one where it was like in a triangular kind of? Oh man, that is an iconic
There was
image.
those, and then nearby there were other ones. So like those were more like over the neighborhoods, like Guadalupe. No, that's not the name of it.
For the listener at home, Allison and Tim are making different hand shapes to
Yeah,
denote
In
it's
like
like
where
these
the alien is.
triangular,
like bird flight kind of.
yes,
it-
like a boomerang kind of.
It looks like a
looking thing.
boomerang, or like
Yeah.
one arm is shorter than the other, like long string of lights.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Well, true believers, you heard it here first.
There's also There's also a massive meteor site where there was a massive impact with the Earth. I didn't include it in the slideshow. I wish I had, especially now that we're having this discussion. But I think it's also kind of birthed some conspiracy theories about whether it was really,
Thor's hammer.
What specific object came from space?
It was actually the 2018 Chevy Silverado 1500, the strongest car ever to be.
That's hilarious.
A great crater. Let's move along, Anthony, and tell us what this is.
Here we have the Chapel of the Holy Cross, a Roman Catholic church located in Sedona. It was completed in 1956. And can anyone guess what building this was inspired by?
I don't know, the seed storage plant in Greenland?
That's right. The Empire State Building.
Oh my God.
Oh man, I was
You were so shocked. We all were. We were all like,
for a second, I was
what?
like, wow, a fucking half-court shot from Tim. I have been to this church.
Cool.
I think, if I might be wrong about this, but I think it was like Frank Lloyd Wright designed.
That's crazy.
Frank Lloyd Wright inspired.
Gotcha. Okay, but it is like built in the same way that like Falling Water is in the river and like along with nature. This is like from that rock face, and it's very much like a part of where it is.
That checks out.
It's supposed to do that whole like integrative architecture thing, and it is very, very cool. It's a beautiful sight to see.
It's almost ominous. Like
it does look
it's
scary.
looming.
Yeah, I think a large cross on any hill scares me a
With
little
these like
bit.
red mountains. If it was like nighttime and I saw this, I would be scared.
This is Sedona.
Red light just blown. Yeah, it's around Sedona, which
strong energy.
Even more to talk about. Are we going to talk about Sedona here, Anthony?
We can, certainly. I don't have notes on it, but if you would like to get into some theories and everything.
People love Sedona.
Sedona is
crystals.
Nice, but it is full of portals.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Allison, vortexes.
I believe it.
They're everywhere.
Show me no more evidence.
I don't need to. I don't have it. Who needs it? Vortex are real.
You take your amethyst, you take your sapphire, you combine them
Steven
together,
Universe,
and
you have
you're going interdimensional.
What a very Steven Universe conversation we secretly just had.
Based off of the Arizona deserts.
Yeah. I do just want to throw in one last thing about Sedona. The shade of that rock face is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like blood red.
Oh,
it's insane.
This is it, baby.
All right, let's move on. The next slide, it just has the Petrified Forest. This is in northeastern Arizona on Navajo and Apache counties. It has preserved fossils all the way back from the late Triassic period, which is 225 million years ago. So it includes these petrified trees, which are separated into chunks, and they just look like rocks. It is like a sweeping desert kind of image, more gray and cold, almost lunar. I don't know. This one is a specific site where they have massive problems with tourists coming in and trying to take stuff.
I'm sure
It's
taking that wood.
Giant find.
There's, to be fair, all around there, like, this is something that I've driven through multiple times very recently, and every single store that you see is advertising, come and buy petrified wood here. It's like a very big, like, tourist, like, I'll buy some of that, and I think like you can kind of just, it's all over the place, and people just feel like it's like shells at the beach. It's like, oh, I'll just take those because I'm sure there's more of them. But I think, in large enough numbers, then you're taking it all.
Yeah.
Where in Arizona is this?
My notes say northeastern Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think you
Never seen it.
drive on the way, at least it's around Santa Fe. You
Wait,
leave Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then it's around there. It's definitely not too far into the state. I know that.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty picture.
And if you look closely, you can see nearly headless Nick from the Harry Potter series.
Petrified.
Oh my God.
Allison's getting on board with the podcast.
Oh man.
I'm into it.
All right.
What's next, Anthony?
Okay, so this is our second to last slide. Here we have Tombstone, Arizona, an old mining town founded in 1879. Does anyone know what famous gunfight took place here?
Oh, I looked this up. I don't know.
Allison, do you know?
No, but I think I've been here.
The gunfight at the OK Corral.
Oh, okay.
We're talking 1881. That's the most famous shootout in the West, or regarded that way. It lasted.
We knew it.
It lasted 30. Yes, everyone knew it. It lasted 30 seconds. There were 30 shots.
Jesus.
Anyone want to
counted?
guess how many casualties?
30.
Nope. 3. 30 shots. 3 casualties.
I mean, not that I want those numbers to be bigger, but I do say if you claim to be the biggest shootout in the Old West,
Lasts longer than 30 seconds, my guy.
Yeah. I'm talking
Not to go back to that ED commercial we were talking about earlier,
No,
but
no,
you
no.
gotta last longer.
There it is.
Anthony, what are we looking at here?
So we're looking at a reenactment here. They've clearly built
Hell yeah.
a facade or like some sort of backstage that has like an old saloon. But you know, it was like a shootout where it was lawmen, classic Old West situation, lawmen taking on outlaw cowboys. And Wyatt Earp was credited as the hero of this particular gunfight, but it was actually apparently his brother Virgil. So
Virgil?
Virgil Earp.
Virgil
My
Earp.
name Virgil Earp.
Virgil Earp. It's me,
Hello,
Virgil
Drake.
Earp.
I want to be C.S. Fly, the photographer.
Oh boy, this is a cheesy looking thing, but I bet it'd be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. Take your
Yeah.
kids to it or something like that.
Where in Arizona is this?
I
It's in
wish-
Tombstone, Arizona. I don't
Yeah.
know where Tombstone is.
Okay.
I wish I had that in my notes. I
That's fine.
apologize.
No.
I have a feeling it's outside of Phoenix, which is the whole state of Arizona. If
I
you really
definitely-
think about it.
I definitely think I went here as a kid and I bought a cap gun.
Cool.
And it was a pivotal moment in my life. So that trip, I think I left with a nice set of comic books that taught me to be a better person. But
And
then
a gun.
a cold piece of steel to remind me who I
Isn't
really
that
was.
America? You know, the good and the bad,
Mhm.
and
the
now
ugly.
us, the ugly. Yeah. So
All right, let's finish out. Here we have a Goodbye Arizona slide.
Aw.
on Earth.
Arizona memes popping off.
Dude, yeah.
Meanwhile, in Arizona is the caption of all of these images, but you can find some gold in there.
These are all true. The oven mitt to drive your car. You need oven mitts sometimes.
For the listener at home,
Oh,
these are
man.
some of the worst memes I've ever seen. I feel like my mom would send me these and go like, "It's hot today." I'd be like, "Okay."
I feel like I see these and go, yeah,
I mean,
accurate.
they're all showing off that it is a
Hot.
hot state.
It's so hot that even the ice cream truck itself is melting with all the ice cream inside of it.
Good B, yay, AZ.
Good be. Good be easy.
Oh man. I do remember one time that my flip-flops started to melt on the concrete
That
outside.
You spend
you
a
from
crazy
Wow.
time in Arizona.
No, we would be there every summer.
For
Or
grandma.
Christmas as well. Yeah, we would go out and visit my grandmother all the time. We did have a moment where she reached into a cactus in her backyard to try to pick up some robin's eggs, which had been.
Why would you get those?
I don't know what her thought process was, and she did wind up with
Oh,
spines
So,
in her arm.
There's a cactus in Arizona that has like a lot of little orange pricklies,
Mhm.
and they're very soft and tiny. And the only
They're
way to
like
get them out,
hairs,
they're like
right?
hairs. The only way to get them out is with glue.
Oh wow!
So you have to like pour a bunch of fucking Elmer's glue
Yeah,
on
let
you,
it
let it
sit.
sit.
It's
Peel it
essentially
off.
waxing hairs that this cactus gave you, right?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh,
Well,
man.
speaking of waxing or waning like the moon, we have to establish how full Anthony's sand rating is.
Oh yeah. So
I got there in the end.
Allison, out of 1 million grains of sand, how many grains of sand do you think Anthony has achieved with this visual segment?
I would say like 900 to 950,000.
Wow.
Oh yeah!
Wow, that is an
That
A.
feels good.
That feels
Yeah.
crazy.
Was there anything specific that you thought that I was missing?
I don't know. I mean, I would have loved to see the Phoenix Suns gorilla.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about that a little bit before we started recording. Phoenix Suns, why is your mascot a gorilla and not a
sun.
mascot?
Not like a Yeah,
Yeah, not a
supernova or
Wouldn't,
something.
wouldn't it be funny if it was just like a little boy with a spinny cap and it was like, this is the sun.
The
I
sun
love
child.
that. The sun
The
child.
sun child.
But it's not even
My son.
it's not even like a typical mascot where the head, you take the head off and it's like a large foam.
No, it's just a
piece.
guy in a
it
regular gorilla
It looks
costume.
like a gorilla. Yeah.
You buy it at Party City.
It's like a gorilla. It's like a gorilla came and was like, I'll put on this shirt. And I'll throw you some t-shirts.
I love that idea. Well, Anthony, you had a great success with this slideshow, but let's see if the next segment is as successful.
All
Tim?
right.
All right, Anthony, great visual segment. We're moving on to the taste segment, which again, the Elder Statesman is permanently in charge of forever and always. And for today's taste segment, I went for it. So Allison, I really don't know how to cook, and
Right.
I started cooking at the very beginning of this podcast every week, like a new dish I've been doing. I've gotten better, but I'm still not too familiar around the kitchen.
Okay.
And I think today that
A lot
is
of wind up.
it's very indicative that I have no idea what I'm doing, because today I have prepared for you all nopales, or
What is
at least
this?
I think they're nopales. It's a prickly pear cactus, and I
ooh.
found you buy them in like big pads that are about a foot tall and like maybe 7 inches wide. And so what I've done up with this is I've cut it up into what I thought were going to turn out to be French fries, but really they just look like wrinkly old leaves.
They look like sardines or anchovies. They're,
Holding
like,
one
sad and
in
wet.
my hand right now, it looks like you're giving me the worst flavor of gum.
Yeah.
Or dead snake skin.
It really does look
All positive
awful.
comparisons.
So
I
you
bet
don't-
it tastes great.
You don't
Yeah.
have to eat it if you don't want to. I have taken 2 bites. It doesn't taste that great, but it tastes edible.
Ow, it's sharp.
No way, is it really?
No.
Okay, yeah. So what you have to do with these things is like you have to de-thorn them. And so I took like a potato skinner and I took off all of the skin, and it just like gushes this like aloe vera kind of goo onto you, kind of like a cactus. And then I put it I fried it up, I put it in the oven, and it looks like it shriveled up and it looks disgusting.
It looks like all of it feels and tastes like all of the liquid was sucked out of this thing, because I just had one, and what I was surprised by was like the bitter sort of sour kick that comes out of nowhere when
I was
going
gonna say it's real sweet.
Yeah, I get both the sweet and the sour.
Same.
It's like a sourdough bread to me almost.
It almost has like a pepper quality to it as well.
Yeah, it hits with like a spiciness at the top, and then it kind of goes into sour, sweet, and then bitter.
I feel like this thing is dancing on every taste bud I have.
Very strange.
Not in a great way, but not a good dance.
I'm definitely going to go in for another one. I'm going to go in for one of these thicker pieces.
Good
because
luck.
the rest of them are a little bit leafy thin.
Now, the oil I'm seeing over all of them, did you add that, or did that come out of them?
So I think it's a mixture. So I pretty much doused it in olive oil to like fry it up, and I thought it'd be crunchier, but I think I just needed to leave it in a little bit longer. And then I just put a little bit of salt on it. And I don't know what the fuck happened to these things.
Well, I appreciate how you just went for it. I think that is really representative of the state, at least from an outside perspective. We've seen so many cacti in our presentation. And
Yeah. Now,
Where did you get this cacti?
I got it from Devon Market. It's
Okay.
up in Rogers Park
Oh.
off of the Loyola Red Line.
my
And
favorite grocery store. in the
Yeah,
city.
it is like a very great mom and pop sort of local grocery store, and they have some of the best and some of the worst stuff in the world. I love it all.
If you happen to live near Rogers Park, go there and get them to make you a
Who's
sandwich
Roger?
at the deli.
Roger is the alien from American Dad.
man.
Nice.
Tim
Who also likes pecan sandies.
Oh my God, stop. Tim, these I think I want to compare them directly to the gorilla mascot of the Phoenix Suns, in that you took a wild swing into left field. You went for it. You went hard, and you stuck with your decision, and I respect you for that. I don't understand the final product, but, I still think, like, as long as people are having fun with it, good on you.
I'm interested to know what they taste like breaded, and
Oh.
if I could put like flour if I put flour, egg, and then a little bit of breadcrumb, and then I put it in a pan
You're
and fried
thinking
it
like
up.
a cactus popper, like a jalapeno popper.
Yeah, I'm wondering if just like a little bit of breading and a little bit more frying would have made these things absolutely delicious.
A popper.
I mean, I thought it was pretty good.
So you've never had these, I assume?
No.
Yeah, I had no idea what a nopal, or I don't know what the singular version or if it's even a
I mean,
plural
have you
version.
had just like normal grilled cactus at like a Mexican restaurant?
No,
or
I
something?
haven't. Have you, Allison?
No.
Anthony?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess singularly, I've had it before, and I've had it like charred, like on a grill. Definitely, like fire has hit it. And with that, the inside is like really fruity and chewy, and the outside is like burnt and crisp and tastes like a fajita pepper or something.
Okay.
Like it's delicious. This didn't quite get there, but I think with like a little work and maybe some more research,
Yeah.
you're on your way.
Well, the reason why I was gonna do something completely different from this.
Oh, yeah.
But I got this suggestion last minute from one of my managers at work, and I couldn't find like really anything that was so specific to Arizona that it would warrant me like making it. So
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like a very Arizona dish.
Yeah, I
know?
saw like Sonoran stew, which is like a stew that's supposedly specific to the Sonoran Desert.
Okay.
But I didn't make that because it required like skate steak or like
Okay.
You know what Arizona food now that I'm thinking about it, there is one thing that I'm like, I will only ever see this in Arizona.
Please don't say gorilla meat.
No, I'm kidding. Lollipops with like scorpions in them.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
That's
Or like
true.
there's like any Walmart,
Yeah.
any place you go, you're gonna find lollipops with like a little scorpion in it. You're gonna
Those
find
little
like
worms.
little worms. You're
Yeah.
gonna find like a fucking paperweight for whatever reason with like a scorpion in there.
Oh,
Tim,
man.
you should have had us eat scorps.
The-
Oh, that would've been
Yeah, let's
cool.
eat scorps.
The paperweight is the only one of those I understand. Why would you want to suck down to arrive at a scorpion?
Well,
No idea.
A great source of protein. You're
There it
getting
is.
that sweet medicinal cherry, and then you're crunching into a meaty scorpion.
Scorpions are crazy.
And perhaps an
The small
act of
one.
revenge.
Have you ever been
The worst.
stung by a scorpion?
My mom and my sister were stung on 4th of July.
Same
several
day?
years ago. It was the same scorpion.
What?
Somebody got stung and they're like, ah! And like it flew on to the next person, it stung them, and then they were trying to find it. And it was on my brother's pants.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
My
He ripped his
mom
pants off.
My mom is a listener and she lives in Arizona currently
Oh!
and
We have them all the time.
she cries when she sees them. She is
They're
so
scary.
scared of them. It's
The
insane.
thing about it that's really scary is that, okay, the smaller they are, the more
Mhm.
dangerous they are because they
Right.
can't control the venom. So the bigger the better
Oh.
for your health. But also when they sting you, if they sting you, the anti-venom is like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, my
So
God.
I'd
we
assume
had
it's
to just-
hard to get.
It's hard to get. It's just expensive. So my mom and my sister had to just like ride it out for several days.
And it's just painful.
And it's just my mom was like, it's like there's an open wound. It's like somebody is
Oh.
performing surgery on my whole arm.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Can you, so like with that kind of venom, can you like suck it out of your
I wouldn't. I
veins?
feel
I
like
don't-
that would kill you then.
I'm pretty sure even with snake
Ingesting?
venom, that's not a thing you can do.
No,
I
you
think
could-
that might be an urban legend.
No, I think you definitely do that. You just suck it out, but you don't swallow it and you just spit it out. And it doesn't like, I don't think it goes into your bloodstream if
I don't know.
it's just in your spit.
Yeah,
Should look it up.
I guess it's for the person you're sucking it out of. It's just like already in their body. I think that's like one of those things that we teach kids to do, but that's like maybe not the best of ideas.
I don't
is-
think it's like a surefire way to get rid of that poison in your blood,
Hmm.
but I don't think that all venoms react that quickly.
So between
I reacted to venom quickly.
very positively as well.
The movie
Tom Hardy?
rules.
Oh my
So-
god.
It is interesting to me as well that there is so much dangerous like wildlife there. You know, there are scorpions, but there's also all of those breeds of rattlesnakes. And
Mm.
have you ever encountered a snake when you were out there?
Oh yeah,
Oh man,
absolutely. My mom and I used to go for walks, and there was like a certain point of the walk where you just hear,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
we were like,
no.
"Up, walk
Fuck,
faster."
No, that's
That
horrible.
rattlesnake
Um,
noise was such a big part of my childhood that it became like second nature just to be like, all right, not supposed to be in this area, I guess. And
Yeah.
you just accept it.
And you move on.
It's important to remember that like the desert does like belong to those snakes, you know?
It
Like
does. So we moved, and like we were in the desert. So for a long time, it was like a lot of the stuff that like our neighborhood like moved in on, like stuck around. Like people's cats got eaten.
Oh,
Like dogs would go
Whoa.
missing.
Coyotes,
Hell yeah.
like
Coyotes.
come in and
Ruthless.
ravage dogs. They
Yeah.
just tear them apart.
It's
It's,
awful.
crazy.
Javelina. My dad's seen a javelina in
What?
my neighborhood.
Oh, what?
A javelina. It was like a big scary pig.
Whoa.
Oh,
It's like this
Whoa.
giant,
I
like,
thought
What?
I thought it was like a chupacabra type
Yeah.
monster, and I was like, "What?"
I mean, kinda. It's just this giant pig that's like horrific.
Wow.
Well,
And they attack.
I don't have we.
Yeah. Big
I don't
tusks.
quite remember, but have we rated Tim's cactus snack out of 1,000,000 grains of sand?
Yeah. Allison, how has my cactus performed in terms of grains of sand? Out of 1 million grains of sand, how many have I received?
I'd say probably 400,000 to 500,000.
Okay.
Understandable.
That's understandable. I will accept it. It was a risk on my part, and despite the failing grade, I will accept.
I thought it was good. It just, even though it's cactus, I was like, I didn't think of Arizona.
Hmm.
Huh.
Good luck, Tim. Maybe next time.
Well, that was my taste segment. We're going to move on to our final working segment, and Stuart has prepared a sonic presentation. Stuart?
No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Clean. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Awesome.
That is Alice Cooper. Some call him the king of shock rock. He is from, he moved to Phoenix, Arizona as a teenager and grew up most of his life there. Still calls it a home where he hosts his late night classic radio show, Nights with Alice Cooper.
I don't want to spend even a single minute with Alice Cooper.
He is
Okay.
beloved.
Yeah, he is like an important Arizona figure.
It's like John McCain and then Alice Cooper.
Wow.
Alice Cooper was, of course,
Oh, man.
born Vincent Damon Fournier.
Of course.
He changed his name to Alice Cooper. This is such a weird story. In 1970, he was in a band called Alice Cooper, and he was the front man. And in 1970, he changed his name to Alice Cooper and went solo and retained the rights to all of the music that they had made before he went solo because it is under his name.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah.
What a crazy asshole.
Damn,
Yeah.
fucking
Oh my
business move.
God.
dog.
Yeah.
See, that was a huge dick move. But I will say, I've heard just anecdotally that he's a real sweetheart. He projects this like really hardcore image, or at least what was considered hardcore when he was popular.
Yeah, like biting a snake.
hmm
Nothing more hardcore than that, baby.
But I think that he, from all accounts, is.
I
very nice
mean,
dude.
I think
Good
he's
dude.
like 20 years sober or whatever. And like, he definitely was famous in a time when like, if you were as famous as he was, you kind of just die of alcohol poisoning
Yeah.
or something because you kind of have everything. But these days, he's just like an old white guy with a radio show about classic rock who plays golf all the time.
You cannot forget the eyeliner.
Oh, that's a good
He
point.
still wears it.
I think sometimes he does, and he's still so old underneath. So like,
I guess if he wants to express himself
Rock
like
is
that,
rock.
Go ahead. Yeah.
He is beloved.
well,
Do you love Alice Cooper?
The persona,
Okay.
the persona
as
of
I
Alice
know
Cooper.
him in Arizona.
Well, of course, we just listened to No More Mr. Nice Guy. And that actually sort of fits pretty well with the next performer we're going to be listening to. So, guys, buckle up and dig in while I play you a little ditty.
Hell yeah,
First time we've heard jazz on the podcast.
a hot
This is-
desert night.
Yeah,
We
this
had
feels
we had
good.
Charlie Parker.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we've explored a
An early
few
episode.
jazz guys, but this is a hero of the genre. That's, of course, Charles Mingus with his
Oh.
song Goodbye Pork Pie Hat.
Nah.
Awesome.
He was born in
Yeah.
Nogales, Arizona, and is an American jazz musician and a well-known proponent of sort of the new collective improvisational style that came about in like the 40s and 50s, where it was like, we're all going to jam together and it's just going to make the song. And I dig that shit so much. I mean, this guy had a huge career. He worked with greats like Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, who we mentioned. many more. And why I mentioned the No More Mr. Nice Guy, he was nicknamed the Angry Man of Jazz, which is the worst nickname ever.
That is the best nickname ever.
It's like not
The
even like
Angry Man of Jazz. I want a nickname so direct and so simple.
there's nothing to read into. It's all on the surface. Apparently,
Amazing.
he used to get very angry very quickly. There's a great story about him smashing a $20,000 bass on stage because a man was talking in the audience of the club.
Oh, yeah.
And he got pissed at it and broke the bass and left. And
Damn.
yeah, the dude was nuts. Loved to get in fights, but I mean, he's created incredible music for like
Truly.
tons and tons of years. So
Beautiful.
when you hear that sound, Allison, does it take you out to the old sand home?
It does remind me of a very certain sort of night. It does remind me of like a gentle Arizona night. With like blue lights. I don't know why blue lights come
Ooh,
up,
yeah.
but like it reminds me of something like that. It reminds me honestly of there's an improv club called Jesters, which is
In Arizona?
yeah, I don't know why it reminds me of that. I think it reminds me of the parking lot that they have.
This is very
I don't know why.
specific.
It's super specific for no
Interesting.
reason. Maybe I was listening to jazz the first time I went there or something.
Interesting.
And-
Well, for those people in Arizona who can see that parking lot,
Yeah.
damn, I'm jealous of
You know,
out there.
improvisational jazz is so fascinating to me. Like the early scatting of the improvisational area when they would just be like, zip, zap, zop.
Oh, fuck
my
you,
God,
Anthony.
Anthony.
All right, we're just
Honestly, like-
gonna move on and away from that.
I want to.
Love that.
She needs no introduction, of course. That is the mystic woman of rock and roll, Stevie Nicks herself.
Pat Benatar.
Born in Phoenix, Arizona.
What? She's born in Phoenix?
Hell yeah! It's a little bit lame, but combined with her solo work and with Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks has sold over 140 million records, and it makes her one of the best-selling artists in history.
Wow.
She has, her classic look on stage is an incorporation of shawls and platform boots. And she's listed on Rolling Stone's list of 100 greatest songwriters of all time. So
Truly.
An
Yeah.
icon.
Yeah.
she fucking rules, guys.
Incredible.
She is so cool, and like she created some of the best music of the 70s and 80s, and it's all like weird and sounds different. And she has such a powerful voice, and she's beat addiction a few times over. There's a great old story that she would famously keep like a gram of cocaine in her cowboy boot at all times. Like literally never didn't have a baggie of cocaine in her boot. And I mean, shouts out to Stevie. You guys have any memories about Stevie Nicks you want to share?
I've got cane in my boot.
Mm.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just digging in the
Allison,
row.
do you think that Stevie Nicks and her sort of outlaw persona fits with Arizona?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Is she a maverick or a renegade like John McCain himself? The king of Arizona?
The
it
king of
seems.
Arizona.
Man, some
Um,
heaters right now, guys. Come on.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. The shawls make a lot of sense
Yeah.
because I feel like this is like a little blanket. You know what I mean? This is a little blanket that I'll wear.
I guess you could describe a shawl as a little blanket you can wear.
It's a little shoulder blanket.
Well, maybe you guys didn't grow up obviously alongside Stevie Nicks, but I think this next song is one we can all track back to our earlier childhoods. That is, of course, Linkin Park with Numb. Their lead singer, Chester Bennington, R.I.P., is from Phoenix, Arizona.
Man.
Yeah, rough. A lot of people from Phoenix, though, who blew up. It doesn't seem like these famous musicians came from a lot of other places but Phoenix.
It's weird.
What an iconic band, too.
That's a crazy cool band.
Here's what's crazy, guys. They rose to prominence, or he rose to prominence as their singer and songwriter, and their first couple of albums went diamond, which is like above platinum or whatever,
Wow.
and it makes them one of the best selling groups of the 21st century.
I love
Like
Sum
Wow.
41.
Yeah.
I'm furious. But interestingly enough, Chester Bennington, didn't only stop with music. He also has cameos in hit films like Crank, Crank 2, and Saw 3D.
Where does he appear
Horrifying.
in Crank?
I have no idea, but I think he's probably in them and he knew the directors or something. I don't know. He seems like a nice guy. It sucks that he passed, but Linkin Park is such a important staple of that like hard rock sort of early 2000s sad boy aesthetic that
Yeah, I feel like Linkin Park was sort of like the razor blade's edge, whereas like, what's that group that's from Chicago? Pete something who dated Ashley Simpson.
Oh, Fall Out Boy.
Fall Out Boy is sort of the handle, like the rounded out hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
right. Okay, so you're
If
saying
this was a
Pop
knife.
rock.
if music is a knife, then Linkin Park is the blade, assuredly. Yeah, I think that's actually not a bad description. I feel like I almost say it's like a butter knife though, because they're not sharp enough
Sure.
to hurt anybody, but they're
Right.
still like, don't stab me with that butter knife, man. Come on, man. Chill
Hey.
out.
Relax.
Linkin Park was very important to me for a time for some weird reason because I have a like distinct memory of one of the first times I was in an airplane where I had one of those touch screens attached to my seat.
Fancy.
They had music options and I went straight to Meteora and listened to it 3 times through in a
Whoa.
row and headbanged in my chair.
I'm sure the guy in front of you loved that. Just beating the shit out of his chair.
Yeah.
Screaming and crying.
Well, when you have that much angst behind you, well, much like him, I now have that angst behind me. I've left that behind and I've grown out of their music, but I still think that there is something to say for, the types of expression that their music offers.
Like a cactus of the desert, you've shed your musical taste flowers far too soon as you've grown 40 feet tall.
Damn near.
Okay. Well, guys, I only have one more piece of audio to show you. And if you know the words, sing along.
London Bridge is falling down, falling
No.
down, falling down.
Stuart.
London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
What's going on?
Explain.
What do you mean?
Explain.
Yeah,
This isn't immediately obvious as to what I'm referencing with this audio, because guys, did you know that the original London Bridge was shipped piece by piece to Lake Havasu in the early '60s and remains there to this day?
Did not know that.
sick, Stu.
What? What if I told you that Robert McCullough, a pie-in-the-sky businessman, decided to buy the world's largest antique, the old London Bridge, and move it to the middle of the desert in order to create a tourist attraction for Lake Havasu, which he owned a large amount of land around?
Couldn't you at least have played London Bridge by Fergie? Something
Uh,
fun to listen to?
What are you talking about? That was a blast. Tim was clapping along out of his seat. What are you... Look, guys, I think it's incredibly interesting that it was torn down at a cost of almost $2.4 million to the London government, and McCullough paid like just a little bit over that to have it sent literally brick by brick and rebuilt over a shitty man-made lake that he constructed, and then built a like vacation area around to say like, come on out to the London Bridge and also stay at my resort area. Robert McCullough, the ultimate flex. He's securing the bag. Anthony loved that segment.
I really liked I liked a lot of that segment. I thought that there was some truly surprisingly
Yeah.
awesome music in
I mean,
there.
Allison, you're from Arizona. Did you know that the London Bridge is there?
I didn't know Lake Havasu was there.
Okay, well, yeah, they're one and the same. I think locals are always holding
like
hands,
Lake-
walking across that bridge.
I felt like Lake Havasu was maybe something in Palm Springs.
It sounds very sort
like-
of uptight, rich.
Yeah, like we're gonna go there to vacation.
Well, we're going to Lake Havasu for the weekend just to decompress.
Yeah, and I feel like that doesn't belong to a state. That's more of a state of mind, if you will.
I will.
I'm actually feeling very Lake Havasu right now. Actually, I'm feeling Lake Havasu if I were to be on top of the London Bridge.
I really
I'm
love
feeling
that.
great.
I really love that. But I can't judge my own segment. I have to ask you, Allison, how did my 5 little clippies reproduce the sounds of Arizona? And do you think I did a good job? Out of how many grains of sand out of 1,000,000 do I get?
I'd say 800,000 to 850,000.
Ooh, pretty good. Pretty good.
Wow.
I am proud of myself.
Now,
Excellent.
one thing I wanted to ask you, I'm shocked that you introduced me to a group out of Tempe, Arizona.
I was wondering if you were going to bring.
Yeah,
Go
do you
ahead.
guys want to talk about injury reserve?
Yeah, what the heck?
Maybe it's not what I'm thinking.
What
of.
are you thinking of, Allison?
I forget their name. And there's definitely a group they're from Mesa, Arizona, which is exactly where I grew up.
What kind of music do they produce?
Alternative.
Is it the group
Interesting.
Arizona?
No.
There is
a
that's
group
literally
called
blowing
Arizona,
up
but
right now.
I do want to give a shout out to the guys in injury reserve. That's a rap trio, and they
awesome.
started in Tempe, I think, or somewhere within Arizona. But they like made all their groundwork there, and they didn't leave for LA until they had a record deal. And they are some of like the best underground sort of alternative hip hop in the world. I love them so much, but I also understand that they are very new, and I don't think they necessarily represent
Jimmy Eat
Arizona.
World.
What is it?
Jimmy Eat World.
Jimmy Eat World is from Arizona.
They're from my hometown in Arizona.
Wow.
God,
Jimmy
damn
Eat
it.
World, but also my little brother. My little brother is a music artist out there. and he-
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to give him a plug?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Blue Jay is his name. He's on Spotify. You can find him.
Everyone,
Very
please
cool.
look up Blue Jay, look up
Blue Jay.
Injury Reserve, and listen to Jimmy Eat World. Every
It
song
just
they have.
takes it's literally on the radio all of the fucking time. And if it's an alternative or like a punk or a rock station, Jimmy Eat World will be on that
Is
at least
Jimmy
once
Eat
or
World?
twice a
It
day.
just takes some time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rad.
That's
That's
awesome.
rad. Well, with 800 to 850,000 grains of sand, I relinquish my spot. Thank you, Tim.
And a great sound segment, Stu. So we've come to the end of the show. We've explored Arizona with our schnozzes. We've explored Arizona with our eyes, with our tongues and taste buds, and now with our ears. So now we've come to the final sense.
Mm.
And we've come to talk about how Arizona has touched our hearts. So we're going to go around in the circle, starting with Anthony, then to Allison, to Stuart, then to myself, to explain what Arizona does for us. Anthony?
I kind of did get into this, several times throughout the show, but I did spend a lot of time growing up in Arizona just to visit my grandmother. So I do have a real place in my heart for it. I think that it is truly top 5 minimum most beautiful states that we have.
Truly.
It is absolutely gorgeous. It's so natural, and it really just, I don't know. It represents itself with all that natural beauty. It doesn't try to dress itself up. It knows that its place is, to preserve all of that land and all of the life within it. And I think that's a really great success of the state. I don't want to speak ill of the dead. John McCain, I had a lot of problems with him.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily associate him with Arizona at the top of my mind for any other reason other than that he was extremely old.
Well, okay.
I don't know. I don't think Arizona is just for the elderly. I would love to live there someday, perhaps. I would definitely love to go back out there, hike and see all of these sites for myself once again. So I would recommend to anyone who has not been there, prepare yourself. It's going to be extremely hot, but get out there and drink that land in, because it truly is irreplaceable.
Allison.
That was quite beautiful. I feel like Arizona to me has a certain sort of resilience and a certain sort of soft-spoken strength. A lot of what it is it perseveres and it lives on in spite of everything. Given the climate there, it can get up to like in the 120s, but life still goes on and things thrive there, which is incredible. Like it makes it, even in the face of these incredible odds, And I think that's taught me a lot about perseverance and sticking through something. But also has a certain sort of silent strength of like the mountains. There's something very grounding, but very like unmoving and beautiful about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you ever retire there?
No.
Okay.
Decisive.
Stuart.
Arizona. You're a tough one because I do think you're one of the most beautiful states in the nation. But man, I really don't like you. You talking about the climates, Allison. It is very hot there, but also the political climate is disastrous.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Whether it is John McCain, rest in peace, or Sheriff Joe Arpaio, or
Oh, God.
what's
He's
going
out
on.
now, right?
Yeah, he's gone, but
Still
he is
piece of
pardoned
shit.
and he's like a citizen. It's
He's-
just crazy that he's not in prison. But whether it's that kind of stuff or what's going on in the southern on the border of Arizona and literally like people, kids in cages and all that. And I have Arizona, because of so many old white people moving there, has the politics of old white people as opposed to what I think is like so much of the makeup of the state, which is immigrants from the South or Native American people or hardworking people who just like live out in the desert, And I think these white people sort of came in and gentrified it a little bit and they brought their politics with them, and I don't necessarily agree with it. But I want to overlook that and just say, like, well, this is a message to Arizona. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head. You feel left out or looked down on, Just try your best. Arizona, try everything you can. And don't you worry what they call themselves when you're away.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Tim?
Okay. Arizona has touched my heart. I've been there a few times, and every single time I've thought it was beautiful. I thought I saw my first tumbleweed there. I saw my first dust devil there. And those are memorable sights, let me tell you what. I didn't know that that we were holding like the children and the immigrants in Arizona. Is that the only place that we're holding?
No.
Texas is a big
Texas?
place.
Yeah,
too?
there are multiple facilities. They're
Man,
mostly
Texas-
on the border. So
Yeah.
It's weird that historically Arizona has been the place to like keep people like against their will, because in World War II we held both German and Japanese POWs and just like people in those internment camps, which were based in Arizona. And then weirdly enough also is that these like German POW camps that we had in America were built over and in Phoenix. They were weirdly in Phoenix. And where the Phoenix Zoo is actually where an old German POW camp used to be.
Christ.
So you're like, you're paving over that with like this
So
weirdly
nice.
fun attraction, but it's also like weirdly also about
keep an eye out for those polar bears.
very strange. I don't
That's
know.
wild.
But in any case, Arizona has like some of the most beautiful nature that I've ever seen. It's got like the most powerful storms that I've ever seen roll through, like
Monsoons.
the monsoons, the dry thunder and lightning that happens in the sky. That shit is crazy and crazy cool. But it's also like a place of great power. And I mean, you hold like those beautiful Red Rock Mountains and beautifully strong cacti and wildlife. It's just a crazy place that is so unique to just that part of the world. I don't know. I really find it beautiful. In any case, if you have any questions or concerns about the great 50 states of the Statesmen, reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram at Statesman Podcast, or Twitter at Statesman Pod, or by email at statesmanpodcast@gmail.com. Please like, rate, subscribe, and share the show with your friends, because we want to share the love of the great 50 states with everybody out there. Allison Reese, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you guys.
This was so much fun for us, and I hope it was a lot
I
of
had a
fun
blast.
for you. Awesome. Do you have anywhere that we can find you online or anything that you'd like to share?
Oh, absolutely. You can find me online, Instagram at MarieReese30, and then Twitter at Monster Reese. 2 R's right in the middle. Very confusing.
Ooh.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have any shows coming up?
I do. So I have a team called Matt Damon Improv. We're all women of color doing comedy. and we perform at the Annoyance. We have moved to Saturdays through June 1st. So you can come by Saturday nights at the Annoyance in Chicago at 8:30 p.m.
Oh,
We'll
wow.
be there. Yeah.
What a time slot. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's pretty kick-ass.
You guys have a primetime slot because you are a primetime team. If
Thanks.
anyone, if
Yeah.
there is a listener out there who has not caught Matt Damon improv at some point in their at their time in Chicago, like, my God, are you guys so fucking good and like different
Thank you.
from every other shitty
Yeah.
team that like
yeah, we
comes
like each
around?
other, and
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
like we're not
It's-
playing a game. Or
It's a joy to
whatever.
watch you guys perform because it's very obvious that you like to be up there together.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And if you are listening and have a chance, go out and see them.
Yeah, come through.
Well, that's Arizona. On behalf of my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi and Stuart Highcar, I'm your elder statesman, Tim Ferrari. State positive.
It just takes some time.
Javelina Dunham.
What?
Huh?
Oh my God.
Don't write yourself